Something exciting is about to happen to me. Now, I can't speak for you, but it's about to happen to me. As a matter of fact, it's been happening to me all week since the class we shared together last week. I have used those ideas. I think it's just fantastic when I can tell you something that I've known for years and really practiced over a period of time, and then in the telling of you, become re-excited about what I just told you, and then go out and practice it better than I ever did before and get the most astonishing results. And that's what's happened to me this week. Working with this idea of joy to awaken my awareness of life, this dynamic, universal energy of life that is in me, that is me, and that is in you, that is in all persons and things. So it's been a great week for me. The last man on earth sat down in his room, and suddenly there was a knock on the door. You can use your imagination, carrying your thought to the highest equation, to the last vestige of what you think is. And beyond it, there is more. We live in an infinite universe. And the possibilities that exist are unlimited. Exquisitely exciting. You are the activity of life itself. The possibility for death for you is absolutely non-existent. There is no such possibility. I came so that you might have life, so that your life might awaken to an awareness of itself, so that your life might come alive. Gustav Stromberg said, "I have no doubt that the belief in a God or a world soul, a universal mind in which our mind has its roots and from which it receives its sustenance and to which it returns at death, will be strengthened as our scientific knowledge increases." And perhaps that is true. There will not be scientific knowledge arrived at through the study with the intellect that will convince you or me or any one of us of the reality of this higher consciousness. The intellect, man in his normal human state, will not know and cannot know these higher things. These higher things will forever remain a mystery to ordinary or normal consciousness. We must find the way into that fourth dimension, that kingdom of the Christ within us, so that we know these things by the experience thereof. Not by examination from the outside, but by an experience from within. Ernest Holmes wrote, "We should think of our spirit as some part of the universal spirit, and of our minds as open to the divine influx." There is a higher mind. And that higher mind is the soul of the universe. The visible part that we see is but the body thereof. Life is the essence of our being. And the word essence means the quality of a thing that gives it its identity. Life is what I am. It's what you are. It's the inherent, unchanging nature of a thing. And the word nature comes from a root word, gene, which means to give birth, to beget. And, you know, in the strangest way, one of the great mysteries of life, one of the exciting things that we discover is that we must give birth to our own higher nature. It's strange. Life is a synonym for God, but that higher life, That God life must be born in us. We must become the parents of that which is to come. The story of the birth of Jesus in the Bible is the story of the birth of the Christ, our higher consciousness, into each person. Each one of us must conceive of this idea and carry it in us for a time until it reaches its ripeness, until it comes to the fullness of its time. And then we give it birth as a thing that can be seen, that can be experienced. But that's only the beginning. You know how precarious is the life of any newborn infant. It must be protected, nurtured. And so it is with this higher awareness when it comes to us. We must keep it safe and secure from what? From the lower human nature that would seek it out and destroy it. In the drama in the Gospels, the lower human consciousness is depicted as Herod, the king. Our purely human nature has been king for a long time. It has dominated us. It has controlled us. It has been in charge of everything that we have done. It has told us what to do and how to do it. We have found our identity in our human nature. And this Herod does not want to give up its power and its dominance. And so when this newborn concept comes, it will just gobble it up. Hence, you and I have to overthrow the kingdom of our lower nature slowly. And we cannot do it without help. First, help from above. Help from a higher level of beingness, and also help from others who are overthrowing their lower nature. This requires a process. It does not happen overnight, and it happens in the company of like-minded people just as we are gathered here. We've come here tonight so that in some way, either very small or very significant, we might make an adjustment, a change, so that this higher self, this higher consciousness becomes more alive, more awake. Richard Buck, who wrote Cosmic Consciousness, said, the philosophy of the birth of cosmic consciousness in the individual is very similar to the birth of self-consciousness and the establishment of the intuitional mind, or in other words, cosmic consciousness. We're giving birth to that higher nature. And Gertrude Walsher wrote, the experience of cosmic consciousness once attained is not the end, but the beginning of revelation. When this begins to happen to us, it's not, well, here it is and that's the end of it. It is but the beginning of higher states of mind, marvelous perceptions, joy beyond joy, capacities heretofore undreamed of, and experiences that are above the experiences of ordinary persons. It is not extrasensory perception as we think of ESP, but something far more exalted and glorifying. One is uplifted to the highest pinnacle of reverence and love, and his ecstasy and rapture know no bound. He is in seventh heaven, in a transcendental state where his vibrations have been raised an octave, out of the material band of matter into the ultraviolet band of light. And if you do not believe that there are people who have long moments of living like this, you're really misguided. It is possible for every person here to attain to this higher consciousness. As a matter of fact, it's not only possible, but it is our responsibility. That's why we're on this planet, discovering who and what we are, and we'll be locked away here, just kept in a very safe place. You know, if you're pretty goofy, they put you where you can't really do much harm until you correct your condition. And we're here until we awaken. Now, at the more highly developed levels of Christ or cosmic consciousness, the most amazing things are possible, astonishing things. But in the earlier stage of development, we, like children, must crawl before we walk. Simple arithmetic before geometry or calculus. Let me give you an example. Remember a moment when you made a cloud disappear in your mind. Remember a moment recently when it was a cloudy day, not outside but inside. Something happened. Oh, golly. But you remembered that you had the ability to take charge of your thinking and of your emotional responses, and it took you a little while, but you got it fixed, right? Now, I'm not going to tell you who, but I'm looking at some people that I know this has happened to just very recently. You made a cloud disappear in your mind, and in a very short time, clear skies, bright sunlight. Happiness had returned. Now, have you ever made a cloud disappear in your life? It was not just in your mind, but here in your life, suddenly an event occurred. Something was really there, man. It was not just an idea, but an actual experience. Threatening, depressing. How could it possibly have happened to a nice person like you? But there it was. And you remembered something. You remembered that you had the capacity to do something about it. You could change it. You could change your reaction. You could make new decisions. You could make new choices. And you began this process, and in minutes, maybe hours, in a little while, the cloud had disappeared. It was no longer there as the result of action that you took within yourself, within your life. Have you had that experience recently? I know you have. You have. Now, have you ever made a cloud disappear in the sky? A cumulus cloud on the horizon? Have you? Well, if you can make these other kinds of clouds disappear, why not a cloud on the sky? There's only one mind. If you can take charge of your own mind inside yourself, you can do the most marvelous things in the universe around you if you know the system, if you have the handle. In Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach, and if you have not read Illusions, I recommend it to you. A Reluctant Messiah, I'm looking at several hundred reluctant messiahs. On the back of the book, here is a test to find whether your mission on earth is finished. If you're still alive, it isn't. Let me read to you from Illusions. The afternoon was quiet. An occasional passenger who came to take a flight. Time between, I practiced vaporizing clouds. Now, I have been a flight instructor, and I know that students always make easy things hard. I do know better, yet there was I, a student again, frowning fiercely at my cumulus targets. I needed more teaching for once than practice. Shinoda, that's Don Shinoda, who was the reluctant messiah, was stretched out under the airplane's wing, pretending to be asleep. I kicked him softly on the arm, and he opened his eyes. I can't do it, I said to him. Yes, you can, he said, and closed his eyes again. Don, I've tried. Just when I think something's happening, the cloud strikes back and goes puffing up bigger than ever. He sat up and sighed. Pick me a cloud, an easy one, please. I chose the biggest, meanest cloud in the sky, 3,000 feet tall, bursting up white smoke from hell. The one over the silo yonder, I said, the one that's going black now. He sighed again and turned back to the sky. I'll try. Now, which one? I looked, and the cloud, the monster with its million tons of rain, was gone. Just an ungainly blue sky hole where it had been. Yike, I said quietly. He pointed to a little puff of cloud overhead. There, that little one. Your turn. Ready? Go. I looked at the wisp of the thing, and it looked back at me. I thought it gone, thought an empty place where it was, poured visions of heat rays up at it, asked it to reappear somewhere else, and slowly, in 1 minute, in 5, in 7 minutes, the cloud at last was gone. Other clouds got bigger. Mine went away. "You're not very fast, are you?" he said. "That's just my first time. I'm just beginning." You think that's impossible? 26 years ago, I read in a Sunday supplement magazine where a Canadian was making clouds disappear. And the author who wrote the article was saying, "Pshaw, no one can make a cloud disappear." And it sounded pretty interesting to me, and I went out and made a cloud disappear, and immediately did not believe it. And so I chose 3, and I took the one in the middle and let the other 2 be control clouds, and in a little while, the one in the middle disappeared. And they will do that. There's only one mind. There's only one mind in this universe. And you are a living part of that mind. This universe is your home, and you are safe in it. It loves you. It adores you. It adores all of its parts. And it wants your joy, your happiness, your peace. But it cannot make you joyous. It has provided everything that you shall ever need for that joy, and it says, be joyous, and I will respond. I will respond to your joy. I will also respond to your anger and to your resentment, but I will give you the consequences of them. You will not like what you experience. So, no joy. Let your life come alive with the possibilities that exist for it. Now, someone here for the first time might have thought I just told a fairy tale about making clouds disappear. Watch them later, though. They'll be working at it. Let me read you another story. It's from the 20th chapter of John, and I read to you from the Living Bible. That evening, and this was after Jesus had experienced the resurrection that he predicted, the disciples were meeting behind locked doors in fear of the Jewish leaders when suddenly Jesus was standing there among them. The doors were locked. The windows were locked. Zap! There he was. No one ever told you that when you were in Sunday school. That this marvelous being did it. But he was not the first one. Moses and Elias have done it. Many persons have done it. We live in a universe that is magnificent. It is a school, and we are in kindergarten. If you and I still live on this earth, let's do not let ourselves believe that we know very much, because we're in kindergarten. He spoke to them again and said, "As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." Then he breathed on them and told them, "Receive the Holy Spirit." Receive the whole Spirit. Let this whole Spirit in you come alive. If you forgive anyone's sins, they are forgiven. If you refuse, they are unforgiven. And in this moment, he was establishing this very important thing that's necessary if you wish your consciousness to be raised. As long as there's any blame or guilt in one's mind, you are locked into the position. You just have a rope around your ankle with a large rock tied to it. So forgiveness, in the form of love and in the form of joy. 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them and greeting them. Now, Jesus' disciples saw him do many other miracles besides the ones told about in this book, but these are recorded so that you will believe that he is the Messiah, the Anointed One, the Son of God, and that believing in him, you will have life. Now, obviously, you already have life, but it means you will have your life come alive. You will become excited about the possibilities that exist in our higher states. A higher quality of life, higher consciousness. You're destined for higher and higher experiences. But we must fulfill the conditions. You will recall that in the first lesson last week, we began to think about the quality of our essence, this essence that we call life. Life really means a word. Life is really a word. It describes this livingness that you are. And I pointed out to you that a feeling of joy triggers a conscious response from life, a deeper understanding of life. The higher qualities of life respond to our joy, to our awareness, to the consciousness that we focus on life. Now, by the same token, we can sometimes understand the thing better by considering its opposite qualities. Sorrow and anger, any of the negative emotions, rob you of any feeling of life and of the higher experiences that life would bring you. Imagine an angry person at a family picnic. What happens to life? What happens to the joy? What happens there? Everything is diminished. Is that correct? And what happens, though, when excitement and pleasure and love walk into your experience? There's an expansion. Your life takes on added qualities. Now, life always responds positively when we become aware of it in a positive way. And the negatives, sorrow, anger, resentment, fear, guilt, and blame, are blasphemous. And the word blasphemous means impiously irreverent. It comes from the Greek meaning evil speaking. When you and I are upset with life, put out, angry, disturbed, we are blasphemous. We are speaking in a way that blasphemes God and the universe. And we pay the price. Now, no one ever told us this because these states of mind have come to be accepted as the norm. And that's why the major aspects of higher consciousness require that we give up this norm because it is a low norm. It is a norm that we can no longer afford. You can't afford that norm because you don't desire the consequences of that norm. Joy and happiness always have an expansive effect. And sorrow and anger a constricting, paralyzing effect. Heat expands, cold contracts. And I'm belaboring this point because I don't want us to forget it. Let me tell you a personal story that happened following the lesson last week. Some things occurred in my life in which I needed to practice joy instead of frustration. It has to do with our building program. Everything has been in focus. Our construction firm is waiting. The architects have the plans ready. And we were ready with our bond sales program. And the Securities Commission of the state of Michigan required some changes. So we had to go back and resubmit our whole application. And in addition to that, we had anywhere from 4 to 7 auditors in this church every day last week working. They were nice people, but nevertheless they were auditors, and each day was a delay in our plans. So, I practiced joy. I practiced joy instead of frustration. I only had so many choices, and I practiced to find the good that was in each of these moments. And some amazing things happened inside me, and it really will. Although the delay will be there are some marvelous things that will come out of it. Now, on Friday, I took a plane trip to speak in a distant city. And on the plane, I was practicing joy. Just sitting there, feeling joy, excitement. And it felt so good I could hardly stand it. I really did. I just loved it. And we went through some rough areas, and I thought, this is better than a roller coaster. I just love it. Joy. Like a child. That night, I was to speak before, it turned out to be about 500 people, all that could get in the room, and there were standing room only there. And I was one of the first people who arrived to hear me speak. Now, that's not so surprising. I was the first person who got here today, too, to hear me speak. And I was so caught up in this feeling of joy that I couldn't sit still, so I found myself going around that auditorium, introducing myself to everybody whose hand I could reach. And I found myself looking not at them, but into them. I wanted to see who was behind those eyeballs. And I just loved them and took such joy in them. Now, there may have been a few that said, this guy's a phony. Didn't make any difference. I was feeling the joy, the excitement. And then, before the meeting started, I sat on the platform looking out at all of them, many more than are here, and there was such an excitement in that crowd. I could feel a life force, something that was there that was larger than any of us. I experienced an amazing response from that crowd. But I also experienced an amazing response from me. I probably gave the best talk that I've ever given in my life. And yet I stood there and I did not do it. It came from me. I was a spectator. I could have sat in the front row. Because of this energy, this thing that was happening. You can do it anytime you want to do it. When you find yourself in a crowd or in your office tomorrow or with your family, when the people around you are looking tired or worried or obviously wishing that they weren't there or that you weren't there, it doesn't make any difference which one. Just start practicing the presence of life and the joy of just get so turned on with life and look at them for the first time. See them for the first time. You'll be surprised, gratified at what will happen. They'll brighten up, they'll smile, there will be an amazing response. And the most amazing response will be what takes place in you. Don't say this is fantastic nonsense. You try it. Many years ago, I read something that Emmett Fox wrote about an experiment with flowers. And without letting any of my friends know, I went down to Woolworth's and got Woolworth sold flowers at that time, and got 2 plants that appeared to be identical and took them home, and I took the same care of them as far as watering and plant food, sunlight. I found it difficult to love one and ignore the other one because my mind wanted to turn and pet the one that I was ignoring. You know how that is. I want to say, you poor little flower. But I didn't. And that poor little flower, it didn't exactly shrivel, but it just didn't do much. I could see a distinct difference in the response. The one that I loved and spoke to and encouraged just seemed to grow toward me, and the other one did not. If you've never tried this, you try it. Prove it to your own satisfaction. The life in anything responds to the attention that you give it, and it responds in kind, and if you ignore it, it feels that. If you see it. One of our great problems with consciousness is that we stand in a room full of people and only see ourselves. Or we're talking to someone and we only hear what we have to say. What we have to say is more important than the person. You are more important than what I have to say to you. Try this with a child if you're a parent. Disturbed child, or not even disturbed. At night, when your child is asleep, stand at the foot of his or her bed, or at the head of the bed, and touch them. Speak to them. Become aware of the life force in that child, and acknowledge its magnificence, its beauty, its wisdom, the life energy that is there. And tell it what it can do. Encourage it. Call it forth into action. And tell that life that it is the life of God, the magnificent life of the Creator, there in that precious, perfect one. Watch what happens. You'll be astonished. Buck wrote, this higher consciousness shows the cosmos, that's the universe, to consist not of dead matter governed by unconscious, rigid, and unintending law. It shows it, on the contrary, as entirely spiritual and entirely alive. This universe is alive. and responsive, because one of the aspects of life is its responsiveness to our awareness, to our joy, to our excitement, to our confidence in it. It shows that death is an absurdity, that everyone and everything has eternal life. The universe is God, and that God is the universe. And no evil ever did or ever will enter into it. And that's the truth. Now, the second major aspect of higher consciousness that I would like to begin sharing with you this evening is an aspect of higher mind that is somewhat difficult to understand, but you will. Let's call this aspect of higher mind wholeness, allness. Let's call it unity. Let's call it truth. Now, the aspect of higher consciousness that I'm talking about used to be called truth, but the word truth does not define it or describe it well. Truth means all that God is, infinite, eternal good. But let's take a moment and give God another name. Mind. Mind is another name for God. You see, we have taken the word God and perhaps we have assigned it to a person, figure off somewhere. So let's just for a moment use another name. Mind. God is infinite mind, the macrocosm. Man is mind at the finite expression, or the microcosm. Now, many of the great thinkers and all of the great religions have agreed that God is omnipotent. Omni means all. God is all power. Omnipotent. All power. Mind, therefore, is all power. Mind is omniscient, all knowledge. Mind is omnipresent. Now, this is what will boggle your mind. All of God, all power, all knowledge is everywhere present. Remember when the scriptures say that a house divided against itself cannot stand? You cannot divide mind. You cannot reduce it. All of it is everywhere. All of God is here where we are. Now, the fact that we're not experiencing all of God does not mean that the allness of God is not here. It is here. Allness. Very important. The word infinite means having no boundaries or limits, immeasurably or unaccountably large, existing beyond or being greater than any arbitrarily large value. Unlimited in spatial extent. Whatever value that you set on the universe, on God, you have not even begun to set the proper value. God is more than that, and more than that, and more than that. And so the word truth means the absolute. All that is. Now, here's the important thing that I want you to hear. This aspect of higher consciousness means that truth or allness abides in fullness at the very core of every person's being. All that ever was or is or ever shall be is available to you, accessible to you. Not at the level at which we've been living, but at the level of our Christ consciousness. At the level of our higher mind, each one of us can be consciously unified with divine mind through this indwelling Christ. And you do this by beginning to become aware that this oneness exists. You see, in our lower human condition, we have isolated ourselves. We think that we are little sparks of life separated even from each other, not knowing that we are in tune with this higher self. I was talking to one of the auditors here today who has recently gone into business for himself, and he has set his goals, and he was telling me how that he is marching majestically and progressively toward his goals. And he was excited about what's happening in his life. And he said, now, you know, one of my goals is to have a computer in my company Not a very large computer, one that will not cost many thousands of dollars. I don't need one that's that large because I can plug my computer in to a terminal of a large computer. I'll just run a larger terminal for maybe $400 or $500 a month. You and I are like small computers plugged into the large computer. But if you are a small computer and you think that you're the only computer, that there is no large computer, then you have immediately pulled your plug. When you're plugged into a larger computer, you have access to all wisdom, all knowledge. And that is the truth. The truth is, everything that is a part of what I am. And from my higher consciousness, I can know this truth, and it will set me free. Set me free from what? Set me free from anything that I need to be set free from. What do you need to be set free from? You shall know the truth, the fact that you're a part of the whole thing, and its power, its wisdom, its intelligence is accessible and available and will rescue you. He that is within you is greater than you who are in the world. The knowledge of the larger computer, the macrocosm, infinity. You're a point of infinity, but a finite point. It is astonishing and it is exciting, and you can prove it. Realizing God as wholeness or allness or truth will save you hours of work if you're looking for something. Such as, let me give you an example. I come here every Sunday morning after having awakened at 3 o'clock, knowing that my Sunday lesson is going to come together right downstairs in that room. And that I'm not going to do it. I'm going to plug into the larger computer. And it comes. Some Sundays it comes better than it does other Sundays, but it comes. Because I expect it. I believe with all my heart. I have an agreement. And it does it. You can prove it in another way. Write down a list of serious questions to which you desire and need answers. 6 questions, a dozen questions, it makes no difference. Now these must be questions that you know you do not have the answer to. Write them down on a sheet of paper. Put the date on the paper. Put that list in your purse or your wallet. Take it out from time to time and just review the questions, knowing that there is a spirit of truth, a spirit of wholeness, that the omniscient mind of God, all knowledge, is going to put the answer in your mind or in your hand in a form that will be completely acceptable and totally, readily discernible to you. I'll guarantee you it will happen. It must happen if you believe that you're one with the whole. The reluctant Messiah wrote, and he said unto them, within each of us lies the power of our consent to health and to sickness, to riches and to poverty, to freedom and to slavery. It is we who control these and not another person for us. We are constantly controlling our lives by what we believe. But we have believed in the smallness of things, not the wholeness of things. We believed in fractured experiences, not that all good, all wisdom, all power is in charge of each waking moment, each experience. And to reconstruct our thinking, to rework the system of ideas that we have, requires an energy. It requires practice. It also requires that you surround yourself with people just like you're surrounded with. People who place a high priority on higher consciousness and its rewards, its exciting rewards. Seek ye first this higher state of beingness, and everything else on earth will be granted or given or supplied. It will come. Where does it come from? From the wholeness of life. You are a part of a unity. One thing. The universe is one. Behold, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. God. One living, breathing, loving experience. When you discover the major aspects of God, any one of them, you have at that moment discovered the major aspects of yourself, of your own mind. What is true of God is true of you. Does that shock you? Is that a shocking statement? It might be to some persons. It shocked so many people 2,000 years ago that it was one of the shocking things that Jesus said that caused them to crucify him. He said, the Father and I are one. You are too. These things that I do not do them. It's this essence of life in me that responds to my awareness of it, and I speak to it, and it responds. It does what I ask it to do, and I thank it in advance because I know with certainty it will happen. Can you and I thank God today in advance that tomorrow is going to be the most delicious, beautiful, delightful, exquisite, glorious, fulfilled day, and that all day long we're going to be charged with love and power? If we do it not just as some brave affirmation, but as a statement of absolute being, of truth, it will happen that way. What is true of the parent must be true of the child. You are created in the image and likeness of light. You are whole. Jesus said, put on the Holy Spirit. This whole Spirit. Let it come alive in you. And you do this by awakening your joy, getting excited about your world. If we can discover a new truth about God, we've discovered a new possibility, something new to practice. Because you can practice it. It is in you. It is there for you to awaken, to bring into a higher activity. And at that moment you have advanced a giant step towards your own higher consciousness. Raynor Johnson wrote a great book, The Imprisoned Splendor, talking about this magnificent spirit that is our essence. And he said that features of higher consciousness were these. A, the illumination or radiance which is seen to infuse everything without is felt to come from within. B, the sense of belonging to a new and greater unity is felt. The universe is one thing. I belong to it. It belongs to me. We are one. We work with each other. The Father and I can do all things. See, the emotional tones are always supremely attractive. Pulsing light, livingness, joy, peace, happy wonder. Through them and interwoven is an enormously enhanced sense of the supreme values, and the most adequate description usually seems to the experiencer to be a revelation of God. Indeed, words fail to express the experience, and the terms used are known to be only symbols and analogies. You are a miracle worker. You are. All of your life you have manufactured miracles in the form of misery, little things, or from time to time in the expansion of your mind, there comes forth a new radiance, a new dramatic equivalent of your higher self. And this week, let it be your higher self that comes alive. God bless you.
This concludes the lesson on side B of tape number 1. Now proceed to tape number 2 for the continuation of How to Achieve Higher Consciousness.